guess if this talk had to have a title, it would be to trust the heart of deepest longing. And by that I don't mean craving. I mean a wholesome longing. The heart that is longing has probably brought you here. And at this point in sesshin, we can perhaps see much more clearly what is happening or how that's operating. What are you most longing for? What have you already tried? What has palliated you on a superficial level that just doesn't meet this longing, that doesn't really satisfy? What are you really longing for? I see you. Game recognizes game. What is this longing that persists? What is there outside us? What is there we lack? We sit together like a big 12-step meeting, albeit a very quiet one, sharing our powerlessness over our addiction to the idea of separation. Hi, my name's Jomon. I'm addicted to the idea of separation. You're supposed to say, hi, Jomon. It's a meeting. So this process of sesshin is tenderizing, enlarging, expanding this heart to include everything. Kisei mentioned this practice together is the acupuncture needle that goes into where there are knots, goes into where there is stuckness. We get stuck, or we feel stuck in a world of stuckness, stuck in separation, stuck in concepts, frozen ideas of self or other, stuck in our habits, stuck in our story about ourselves, stuck in our story about the world. Maybe this gives us some sense of ground or a sense of safety or knowing, maybe even a sense of rightness. But these ideas are informed and shaped by what can only be our ideas of the past. So we think we're seeing the same old, same old. When we think we have already seen this movie, we might get bored. We might get restless. We might get irritated. We might get impatient. When we think we have already seen this movie 100 times, we might get despondent or even blaming of ourselves or others. Yet we keep relying on our limited view. We can only think in 2 dimensions. believing these self-imposed limits and ideas, and then responding accordingly. So I'd like to just share an example of this you can see directly right here and now. Go ahead and close your eyes if you are comfortable doing that. And bring into your mind's eye this room, this zendo. Every detail you can recreate, every floorboard, every item, every person, the walls, the windows, everything you can recall. Get it really clear in your mind. Paint that picture, take that photograph, see it as clearly as you can. Now go ahead and open your eyes and notice everything you missed. I mean, I missed these lights. How did I miss those? They're giant circular globes of light. So our idea of the room is an illusion. It's an illusion. When we relate to our idea of our life like this, when we relate to our idea of our life rather than our life itself, it is as satisfying to our hunger as a painting of a rice cake. Our ideas do not, cannot satisfy this longing for our life, for our whole life. What we need is an understood experience. These are two aspects, and this is a teaching from the Theravadan teacher, one of the teachers in our women's lineage, Ayakema. She points to these two parts, understanding and experience. The understanding she refers to comes from the path of practice and the experience of fruition on that path. A direct experience leaves no doubt. She says, what is there to doubt when one has experienced the truth? If one hits oneself with a hammer, one feels pain and cannot doubt it. One knows from one's own experience. No need to hit yourself with a hammer, though. Joan Tollefson, who I was quoting the other day, points to awakening in this way. She says, awakening, as I mean it, is simply a shift of attention now from what we think is happening to actual present experiencing. Simple, perhaps, but not easy, maybe. So with practice, we just stop and look. Stop and feel. And in this, we may begin to discern our thought stream, which, by the way, is not inherently evil or problematic. We can see our thought stream as something of a filter or a lens of thought and idea that we mediate our experience with. We begin to see that this is just a lens. This is not the direct view. And everyone, it turns out, has a completely different lens. It's a completely different world. We begin to see that life is moving much faster than the speed of our thought. It's so much more complicated, beautifully so, isn't it? Our collection of ideas can never truly capture what is really happening. In that sense, these ideas, these words are dead words. They're like the husks of sprouting seeds, or like the shell of a hatched egg. They cannot contain the whole moving reality. Our ideas, our words are just pointers, the finger pointing to the moon. What can ever be dead when every moment is new? In Sesshin, we encounter the pain and the joy of a heart expanding beyond its own husk. The heart aching with the weight and pressure of our stuckness. The heart aches from carrying around a bunch of ideas like stones. The pain of our regrets. The fear of others' unskillfulness, betrayal, or unkindness. The fear of our own hunger and thirst. The belief that we are fundamentally flawed, irreparable, incapable, unworthy, that we are too much, that we are not enough, that we are getting it wrong. The loneliness that comes from our self-protection, that comes from affecting a persona. It's like a duck decoy that we float out into the world for others to see, for others to relate to. This decoy that we hope others will find acceptable. But these superficial connections, they cannot satisfy. It cannot be satisfying when we hide ourselves from each other in this way. We may be hiding ourselves from ourselves. Also deeply unsatisfying. Buying these old ideas. Joan Tollefson, in her book called Death, the End of Self-Improvement, she urges us to let everything fall apart, as it does anyway, and as it must for anything new to emerge. This falling apart is a waking up from the obsessive concern with self-improvement and self-preservation, and a release from the fear of disintegration, imperfection, and death. Perhaps in this exploration we will discover together that our worst fears are not really as terrible as we had imagined, and that what appears to be an obstacle or a hindrance is actually the gateless gate, and a jewel beyond all price. And so here we are, willing to look, or maybe 2% more willing. Can you find that dial of willingness? Maybe move it up 2% more willing. 2% more willing to really feel into this human life of messiness, this heart full of longing. Here's a poem by Thich Nhat Hanh. It's called Looking for Each Other. I have been looking for you, world-honored one, since I was a little child. With my first breath, I heard your call and began to look for you, blessed one. I've walked so many perilous paths, confronted so many dangers, endured despair, fear, hopes and memories. I've trekked to the farthest regions, immense and wild, sailed the vast oceans, traversed the highest summits, lost among the clouds. I've lain dead, utterly alone, on the sands of ancient deserts. I've held in my heart so many tears of stone. Blessed one, I've dreamed of drinking dewdrops that sparkle with the light of far-off galaxies. I've left footprints on celestial mountains and screamed from the depths of Avicii hell, exhausted, crazed with despair, because I was so hungry, so thirsty. For millions of lifetimes, I've longed to see you, but didn't know where to look. Yet, I've always felt your presence with a mysterious certainty. I know that for thousands of lifetimes, you and I have been one. And the distance between us is only a flash of thought. I know that for thousands of lifetimes, you and I have been one, and the distance between us is only a flash of thought. Just yesterday, while walking alone, I saw the old path strewn with autumn leaves and the brilliant moon hanging over the gate suddenly appeared like the image of an old friend, and all the stars confirmed that you were there. All night, the rain of compassion continued to fall, while lightning flashed through my window and a great storm arose, as if earth and sky were in battle. Finally, in me, the rain stopped. The clouds parted. The moon returned, shining peacefully, calming earth and sky. Looking into the mirror of the moon, suddenly I saw myself. And I saw you, smiling, blessed one. How strange. The moon of freedom has returned to me. Everything I thought I had lost. From that moment on, and in each moment that followed, I saw that nothing had gone. There is nothing that should be restored. Every flower, every stone, and every leaf recognize me. Wherever I turn, I see you smiling, the smile of no birth and no death. The smile I received while looking at the mirror of the moon. I see you sitting there, solid as Mount Meru, calm as my own breath, sitting as though no raging firestorm ever occurred, sitting in complete peace and freedom. At last I have found you, Blessed One, and I have found myself. There I sit, the deep blue sky, the snow-capped mountains painted against the horizon, and the shining red sun sing with joy. You, Blessed One, are my first love. The love that is always present, always pure and freshly new. And I shall never need a love that will be called last. You are the source of well-being flowing through numberless troubled lives. The water from your spiritual stream, always pure as it was in the beginning. You are the source of peace, solidity, and inner freedom. You are the Buddha, the Tathagata. With my one-pointed mind, I vow to nourish your solidity and freedom in myself, so I can offer solidity and freedom to countless others now and forever. In this poem, you can feel the struggle, the sense of separation, this desperate wish to merge with life. We share these songs of awakening. We can find inspiration from great teachers like this. We help each other to see. Each person sees a little part of the whole tapestry. We help each other look into this matter of no birth and no death. But we have to see into this life for ourselves. It is just not satisfying otherwise. The heart is not assuaged. So here is a koan about that. The Blue Cliff Record, case number 55. Dogo's I Won't Say. In this story, Dogo is the teacher and Zengen is the student. Dogo and Zengen went to a home to make a condolence call. Zengen hit the coffin and said, "Alive or dead?" Dogo said, "Alive, I won't say. Dead, I won't say either." Zengen said, "Why won't you say?" Dogo said, "I won't say. I won't say." Can you imagine this? As they were returning, halfway back, Zengen said, "Master, tell me at once or I'll hit you." Dogo said, "Hit me all you want, but I still won't say." Zengen then hit him. Sometime later, after that, Dogo passed on. Zengen went to Sekiso, another teacher, and related the foregoing story. Sekiso said, Alive, I won't say. Dead, I won't say either. Zengen said, why won't you say? Sekiso said, I won't say. I won't say. At these words, Zengen had an insight. Maybe when we do another after your death meditation, you could imagine this at your funeral service. This is a powerful question. Alive or dead? This is what we call great doubt, which is the power of curiosity and not knowing. This is what Zengen demonstrates, this powerful curiosity. What is dead? What is alive? What is this? Please notice that for Zengen, this is really uncomfortable. And the monk is willing to hit the master to try to force an answer. Koans are an ancient technology. They bring forth all our ways that we try to solve the problem of life. How we do anything is how we do everything, I've heard it said. So we carry a koan like this around, or a question, alive or dead, or even just one word, and try to understand it. And then all our techniques fail. In the process, all our techniques are revealed. Our shtick. And if we stick with a koan, we run out of techniques. Perhaps we surrender. Is a corpse alive or dead? What is alive? What is alive? One of our techniques of understanding or interacting with the world, a common one in our capitalist culture, maybe universally human, is this sense of a transaction. I bring forward great effort, and in return, I will receive insight commensurate to that effort. And when we do not recognize the returns as such, when we do not realize that with this practice, we are inviting tectonic shifts that occur far below the surface, perhaps not immediately visible, or even visible in this lifetime. We may find ourselves trying harder. Now, effort is important. Joyful effort. Continuous effort. We build the momentum of practice in sesshin. We build the momentum of practice in a life of practice. Entering wholeheartedly. It's very important. It's very important to be all in, not holding back. It's also good to find some lower gears. To find a slightly more sustainable fuel for practice. More sustainable than beating ourselves up, trying to force something to happen. Or we could sometimes just stop. Respond to what's here. So we can look closely, more closely, to see what really is happening. Which, just like the inexpressible reality of this room, is far richer than any of our ideas about it. We can see what's really happening, far richer than any of our goals for ourselves may have been. What is actually being given to us? So Kisei spoke of case 47 of the Mumonkan, the gateless gate, Tosotsu's 3 barriers. These are 3 questions for his disciples. Tosotsu's, is that it? Yeah, Tosotsu's 3 barriers. Tosotsu set up 3 barriers for his disciples. 1, you leave no stone unturned to explore profundity, simply to see into your true nature. Now I want to ask you, just at this moment, where is your true nature? 2, if you realize your true nature, you are free from life and death. Tell me, when your eyesight deserts you at the last moment, how can you be free from life and death? 3, when you set yourself free from life and death, you should know your ultimate destination. So when the 4 elements separate, where will you go? Another translation puts this first one, groping through the undergrowth, you leave no stone unturned to explore profundity, simply to see into your true nature. Now I want to ask you at this moment, where is your true nature? This groping through the undergrowth, this leaving no stone unturned, we are looking everywhere. Is it somewhere else? Or could the unturned stone be right here in the heart? Right where I'd rather not look. Some of you have been doing this difficult work. When you turn over a stone in the forest, when you lift up a log in the forest, what do you find? All the creepy, crawly things in the process of decomposition, also known as transformation. In the charnel ground, you find the same. And when you sit still and allow the emotional flotsam and jetsam of our human psyche to bubble up and hold it in the light of awareness, allowing the Sangha to help you hold it, you find the same transformation. Is this the body of Buddha? This too? We have this opportunity to invite transformation into the darkest corners. We can transform and transmute our own unskillfulness and that of others. It just may not look the way we think it should look. We can transform our own relationship to these things. This is Mumon's commentary on the 3 barriers. If you can put turning words to these three questions, you are the master wherever you may stand and command Zen, whatever circumstances you may be in. If otherwise, listen. Gulping down your meal will fill you easily, but chewing it well can sustain you. If otherwise, so if you're not a Zen master of everything, listen to this part. If otherwise, listen. Gulping down your meal will fill you easily, but chewing it well can sustain you. Watching a cooking show, reading restaurant reviews, looking at food porn is so different from actually taking a bite, isn't it? From actually eating food with this drippy, disintegrating, smelly, bacteria-filled human mouth. And really chewing your food and experiencing it directly is different from gulping it down, the mere concept of a meal. And if you find yourself stuck in concepts, despite your best efforts, please hold yourself with the same kindness that you would hold our old golden retriever, Lewis, now deceased. Where is he? Alive or dead? Lewis would joyfully gulp his dog food down without chewing it. He seemed quite happy with his life. He lived his 12 glorious years without a moment of despair or self-consciousness. But for us, this chewing up our life, exploring our world wordlessly, the way a baby explores their world with their mouth, is just instructive. We keep being pointed back to ourselves, back to our life. This, now, what is right here, right in front of us, closer than right in front of us, more intimate than being a mere observer. We have been chanting the Shari Raimon, the verse of homage to the Buddha's relics. Here's a line that's been jumping out at me. Through the sustaining power of the Buddha, which enters us even as we enter it, we verify awakening. Through the sustaining power of the Buddha, which enters us even as we enter it, we verify awakening. This is a merging, a permeating. Another chant we often do says, "You are not it, but in truth, it is you." Songs of awakening do inspire us. We have to find our own song of awakening. Joan Tollefson says, to awaken is to recognize the sacred everywhere, to live in devotion to this luminous presence, to wake up again and again from the dream of what we think is happening. Touching this, even for a moment, is transformational. One instant is 10,000 years. Catching even a glimpse of this, we can't unsee it. We can't unknow it. We are moved to shape our life in the direction of devotion and practice, whatever form that takes. We have to wake up again and again to practice. Practicing waking up. We help the heart grow. I love this duet that's happening right now. Thank you, Frog. That was very sweet. In this way, we companion each other through the growing pains. We find the heart has infinite capacity. Kisei spoke yesterday about the many kinds of death we experience in Sesshin. One of them was death by devotion. Devotion is another way to grow the heart far beyond who we think we are. Some ways of expressing devotion are petitioning, offering, and bowing. Petitioning is just asking for help. Call upon the ancestors, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. There have been times I have felt so desperate in here, in this very zendo. I have called on Avalokiteshvara, Kanzeon, and she has always responded in some way. I had to let my agenda for whatever I thought was supposed to happen die. Call upon your ancestors. Let in the support of the Sangha. Allow yourself to be held in this container of transformation. Asking for help is an act of profound humility and alignment with the ground. Another practice of devotion is to make an offering of yourself, of your practice, with no expectation of return. Make it a gift. Do your best. Or offer your practice imperfectly, the way a child offers a drawing or a bouquet of dandelions. An unself-conscious gift from the heart. Making yourself an offering. Your chanting, your sitting, your walking, your resting can be a practice of the heart, a practice of generosity, when what we really want is to get something. When we practice being the gift, the results are no longer the point. Our bowing can be an offering of ourselves. Bowing is a wordless expression of humility, of willingness to abandon our ideas of how things should be. We have many opportunities to bow literally in this sesshin container. What would it be like to feel every moment of the body as it bows, in recognition that it is part of something much larger? What is this? We bow in recognition that words and ideas fail. We bow in alignment to I don't know. Devotion is generosity. We can have devotion to our teacher, to the practice, to the community. Devotion is a relationship, a non-transactional experience of mutuality. And in the emptiness of giver, receiver, and gift, we can't help but touch the vast generosity of this life. We can only receive this life fully with hands that have already let go, with open hands, with empty hands. I'll close with some of the lines from that Thich Nhat Hanh poem, Looking for Each Other, a beautiful song of awakening that expresses the mutuality of devotion, the growing of the heart, the imperative of the Bodhisattva vow, that our practice is not about separating ourselves from anything. I know that for thousands of lifetimes, you and I have been one, and the distance between us is only a flash of thought. You are the source of well-being flowing through numberless troubled lives. The water from your spiritual stream, always pure as it was in the beginning. You are the source of peace, solidity, and inner freedom. With my one-pointed mind, I vow to nourish your solidity and freedom in myself, so I can offer solidity and freedom to countless others, now and forever.